fresh water. We have limited access to land for agriculture. We have scarce development options. We all remember just a little bit under 2 years ago, the destruction in the Bahamas from Hurricane Dorian. Damages were estimated to be around $3.4 billion. Now, of all the things we talk about how we need to diversify as far as for sustainability, a lot of us tend to forget the ocean and how important it is to us. These islands in the Caribbean, we know how challenging it could be to us and how critical it is that we step up our innovation as a solution to some of the problems that we have. And a lot of the opportunities, I mean, sometimes we leave this out, but a lot of opportunities rest in our blue economy. Of late, we've been talking a lot about, you're hearing a lot about the blue economy. Well, quickly, let me just tell you what they're talking about. The blue economy is a term in economics relating to the exploitation and the preservation of the marine environment. Put another way, the blue economy refers to the sustainable use of ocean resources for economic growth, improved livelihoods, jobs, while at the same time preserving the health of the ocean ecosystem. An important challenge of the blue economy is to understand and better manage the many aspects of oceanic sustainability, ranging from sustainable fisheries to ecosystem health and preventing some of this pollution that we see from time to time going into our ocean. There's a high demand here, not just in St. Kitts, in the region, well, most places, for seafood. I mean, even pet food contain fish products. And as a result of this high demand for fish, the methods that they use to increase production, some of it is questionable. It comes at a cost. The aquatic ecosystems and the natural habitat of sea life are paying a price. When you see things like plastic bottles and plastics and all kinds of stuff that begin to float into the water just because we drop them on land and they get washed down to the sea, and then we take it as a simple matter, but there's a lot of destruction. Apart from the fact that it looks nasty and unhealthy, there's a lot that happens beyond that in terms of the ecosystem. Let's look at fishing, for example, and the point here is to show that some of us are our own worst enemies. The terms, when we talk about overfishing, what we mean by that is you're catching fish faster than they're able to reproduce. Now, I'm sure many of you have gone to the market or gone to buy fish. And in that catch, you see some tiny fish. You want to know, well, where they're going with those. You refuse to take those. As simple as you see that, that's a real problem. Because really and truly, that fisherman or fisherwoman, the fisher folk should have thrown that back into the water. Should have never reached to the shore. Because the more you keep doing that, the worse it gets, because you're now taking fish out of the ocean that was not able to grow and reproduce other fish. And we don't, here we don't think of it as anything. I like to fish as a hobby. And I used to do a lot of fishing in the waters of South Florida. And one of the things that you couldn't miss every time you went fishing in the waterways is the fact that there was always fishing or wildlife wardens all over you. They had the authority to open your coolers to look at the fish that you were catching. Because if you were fishing commercially or as a hobby, you had a responsibility to know the size of fish you're allowed to catch and the season you're allowed to catch that fish. And if you were in violation of that, you were fined. And all they were doing was protecting the fish population. Because you can't go out there and catch any fish and take it home. You had to throw back a fish that did not meet the size restrictions. Had to be over a certain length, or you must throw it back. It must not die. Around here though, we may have regulations, but do you see any of that? No. People, you still have a fisherman coming in with some fish that are definitely way underweight and undersized. And there's nothing to it. They just, nobody will buy it, so they just throw it back anyway, but now it's dead. And so we don't care. The other thing that happens is, as you look around, sometimes I see it happening. I have brought it to attention of people who have power, but it happens anywhere, is what we call bycatch. And when we talk about bycatch, we're talking about fish, we're talking about seafood, we're talking about turtles, we're talking about anything else out in the water that you may catch. And the reason why you're pulling them in is because you're using what they call these gill nets. And the gill nets are these huge nets. I mean, many yards in length. I believe sometimes they could be a mile long. And they stretch them out and they sweep. They make a full sweep. And everything that get caught up in that net comes in. And guess what? You're pulling in turtles. You're pulling in baby fish. You're pulling in everything else. And not only that, you're pulling in things from the bottom of the ocean, and you're messing with the coral reef and all of that, which is important. But they do it on a regular basis. Nobody says anything. That, to me, shouldn't be allowed. Because, you see, over time, when you do that, we pay the price, because then we begin to realize that the fish population is disappearing. And it's disappearing because what happens is we're catching and pulling in the fish that have not had an opportunity to grow and reproduce, and over time they just disappear. Not only that, but if you're messing with their feeding ground and their habitat on the bottom of the floor, on the ocean floor, they move on to someplace else because they no longer can feed in that area and reproduce in that area. So you would find, if you're fishing long enough, you would find that where you used to catch a lot of fish a couple of years ago, you can't catch them there anymore because you have now destroyed that ecosystem. And so fish must move on and find some other place to live. That's from the fisherman's point of view. people who are not even fishing, who are drinking sodas and canned stuff and so on and just throwing them across on the sand and the ocean. When they use the beach, they just throw the garbage, whether it's the containers that they eat from, the styrofoam, all that, just goes out into the ocean. We don't realize what we're doing, but a lot of this plastic and stuff get caught up, or they get caught up with the fish, destroying the wildlife, destroying the fish, destroying the ocean bottom. And so all those things are happening, and they're happening in full sight. Not even to mention that we are a tourist economy, and I have been out to the southeast and have seen some garbage out there that even when reported, you would think that if you go back it would disappear or it would be cleaned up, but it's not. For some reason it's not. And these are in areas that well, we don't have a lot of tourists today because of the pandemic, but these are areas where visitors would frequent when they come to our shores. But we want to enjoy our beaches. We want full access to our beaches, and we complain about full access to our beaches. But when we get full access to our beaches, we don't take care of them. Because if you have full access to our beaches, and we go out and enjoy the beaches on the weekend, there's no reason why you can't take your garbage with you when you finish your fun day on the beach, you and your family. There's no reason why you can't take along a bag for garbage or some container for garbage and take it with you after the fun. Clean up. Leave the beach clean as you meant it. But what happens is, weekend after weekend, different people leave garbage and it just piles up. And we think nothing of it. The fun is over. We pack up everything else, but we leave the garbage. And then what happens is some of it get picked up by the waves, taken out to sea. Not only does it look bad, but it's doing some serious damage out there in the ocean. And it's amazing if you have to think about where these things end up. Anyway, 465-2555 is the number. 718-577-2916 overseas. We will take your calls and get your comments on any of what I mentioned. Let's go to the phones. Say good morning and welcome this Monday morning to Frank and Candid.
Yeah, good morning, Brother Tony.
Hey, good morning, family.
As usual, let's start with a good program for the Monday. I benefited from trash in the sea one time.
Is that so?
Yeah, over Red Hook in St. Thomas.
Okay.
I was just walking on the seashore there by the dock.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw this plastic water bottle floating in the sea and something in it.
Oh.
And I take it up was a US $5.
Oh, I thought it was a genie.
And it had a phone number, so I called the person and tell them I found the bread that they cast in the water.
Uh-huh.
So thanks for that.
Okay.
But there is another thing now. There, Tony, there are laws. I know in St. John,
Mm-hmm.
there is a marine park.
Right.
Not even a sparrowwinkle you could go, they go pick up and they catch you. We just walk in there on the sand and you see all type of big fish swimming right there in the shore by your foot, but you can't turn a line there to catch them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Because anyhow the marine park police catch you. That's it. And when you picking whelks, they have a funnel. And they throw the whelk in the funnel, and if you go through, you have to throw back that in the sea.
Right, right.
So that's the measurement for whelks.
Mm-hmm.
And likewise with the fishes, when they're too small, hey, you got to throw them back, you know.
That's right.
And if they're dead, well, they're going to penalize you.
Mm-hmm.
But now another thing now, the laws about these fishermen when they're going out on the sea, they're supposed to have some special, what you call, equipment.
Mm-hmm.
They're supposed to have all types of radio communication.
Right.
And they're supposed to have a flare gun. Mm-hmm. And also they're supposed to have oar. Don't just depend on the gasoline and the motor. Mm-hmm. But how many of them comply to these rules and regulations? Some 4 years ago there, the tallest man in St. Kitts from Sadlers, he and his fishing partner went out in the boat and the boat capsized, and as tall as he was, he couldn't swim. So the other guy swim, saved himself, and they went back to look for him to meet him. The tall man out, they drowned. Not a life jacket, nor nothing he had on. And so with all these things that the fishery department said that these boatmen supposed to have, I wonder if they just go inspect these boats to see that they have them on.
That's the question.
That's the question, is true.
Mm-hmm.
And there are laws on the books, but where are the enforcers and inspectors? Now look what happened there a couple months ago down in Old there with 3 men went out in a boat. And it is said that one of them went over, they jump over the water to retrieve a fish pot. You don't jump over the water to hold a fish pot with your hand. You're supposed to have a gaff or a creeper for a fish pot. And they're supposed to have a diving glass that they put it out in the water and look down and they could see whatsoever underneath there. So that kind of incident there, I don't know. I still wondering what happened. I still wondering because that is unsolved. Anyway, that's my take for the day, Tony. Thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
The other thing too is that as I spoke about Florida and enforcement, you have to have a fishing license because that's how you get penalized and stuff for doing the wrong thing. You go out on a fishing trip, at least the captain must be on a license, fishing license. So, anyway, let's take this call.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Tony.
Good morning.
I'm calling from halfway west.
Okay, all right.
Walking out all around.
Yeah.
A lot of people like to criticize the United States with all sorts of things. You know, United States got some of the best policies in Canada when it comes to fishing. Now, we used to get a lot of saltfish from Canada many years ago, growing up. And, you know, they had closed on them stations there.
Okay.
And here, Nova Scotia, the other place named there offshore there.
Halifax?
Halifax, no, Nova Scotia and I forget the other one anyway.
Go ahead.
I know it, but you just got a Newfoundland area.
Newfoundland, okay.
Yeah, all right. So they give the chance for the fish to be replenished. And I think they're going to start, I don't start already to fish again. And all of that. Now, the Japanese have been in our Caribbean waters a long time. Because they had some station in St. Martin. So when they catch the Caribbean fish, they already do there. But then nowadays they ain't need that because they got these huge ships. They do everything there. And then the Chinese then come up with others now, and you see the Chinese them all over the world. Even when they got places reserve the Galapagos Islands, and the Chinese them go down there and catch the people and fish. I want to make fuss. They want to trample on the whole world. America don't do that. America got quotas and fishing season and hunting season and all of that.
That's right.
And they got them well regulated. No, it's funny that you bring up this thing. Just give me about a minute and a half. I was looking at some fellas from the Palmetto Point, West Farm area. Now, people in my area don't fish like before. They're on a boat. But these fellas go out there and they supply fish around. They don't say they're not enough to supply. But my concern is that when somebody told me, well, this particular person goes out to sea alone, and often then they don't have all the gear that the fisheries stipulate. So like the first caller mentioned, we got laws and so, but you got teeth. And then the enforcement is the good thing. You can't go out alone in Florida there. Whatever you're going out, they go drive go fish somehow. That the laws gonna prohibit you from doing it. So we need to come up with ours, man. Just like they set up these laws the last week. To give the thing teeth, the inspectors teeth. We need that kind of thing. Because nobody, you go out there, go fish alone. And something is wrong with you. Because nobody perfect and nobody invincible. Then they can call the Coast Guard and police and all kind of people. You understand? So, I just use a term I don't like. But anyway, so I think we need to come better. And the government doing so good that they give out these instruments to people, communication instruments that when you're going out, you're supposed to file with them. So I don't know if you don't file with, don't do the work either. A lot of people who work for government don't do the work, you know. Who responsible for getting things running smoothly? We fed up and tired of that. And that is what we want. You can't always blame the ministers them. That they got a heck of a lot to do. So, I think this topic is timely. But only that, you know, sometimes when they scrape the bottom with all them things, I don't like it, you know.
Right.
They don't process these things and make fish food and even things for agriculture.
Yeah.
But then it's not good. That is not good. You see the Europeans and their quarters and what they do? They fish in the British waters, especially for herring. But they got some stringent measures. Otherwise, you're going to kill out everything.
And we don't want that. Okay.
Well, one last thing. And I see fellows of fish around here. Sometime I was a little boy, I see people fishing the same place. They want, one or two people got some little bigger boat. But they need some little bigger boat and go further and allow the fish up close to the shore to replenish. You understand? Anyway, good topic again. Have a good day.
All right, you too. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning.
Yeah.
Welcome to Frank.
Good morning. How are you?
I am well.
What culture does say culture right to me? I was one the fisherman who on the boat. When I had no crutch, you know anything like a crutch you put in the oar?
Yeah.
And when I had enough a crutch, you call a crutch.
Yeah.
You put the oar in and you walk the oar. When I had that.
Right.
When I had a proper anchor. So if motor couldn't start, then the motor couldn't start, then I couldn't get the boat, hook the boat, knocking back and turn over, a big shot come knock it, turn over. Me start to swim. Me swim to the shore, and I walk to the mountain, I went to get find a house in station, in the mountain, call them, tell them, drop me on the station, meet the boy station, come back up, the man down there. So when I had proper equipment, what the Coast Guard someone do, make sure everybody who go out, let them have proper equipment.
Right.
Now when I that, I just a squeeze of salt for the man. But again, he couldn't swim. I want to know where my car is, where she can go, the car policy. Then people say, oh, a man can plug on the plane and the car fly. I will never going to work now and the car swim. Right? Because my father keep me to swim and little boy.
Yeah.
And when I start to swim, you know what see me front of my face? My dead father. Something coming one. Go while your father taught you. And you start to swim.
Were you supposed to have life jacket?
No, we had no life jacket. We had life jacket, yes. We had, but we not had no time to think about them. We not try to get the anchor hole and get it up, turn up to get the motor, get it up.
Keep it on.
We had life jacket, but we not think about that.
Keep it on.
Okay then, my friend. Bye.
Okay. Okay. All right. We got a caller. All right. Yeah. Well, I mean, but in all seriousness, though, I mean, there are rules about what you should have when when you go out to sea. Life jackets and all of that. The government is now, they got these electronic devices now that can pick up your boat and so on. There's something you're supposed to do before you go out. But people are not paying attention, and they need to get spot checked now and again to make sure that they have them. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome.
Tony,
Yes.
I want to thank you on the caller for the laugh. If I ain't getting them a laugh for the rest of the year, that they go full me belly. Now, you see, round there in the them little Virgin Island round there, what them Coast Guard officers do, when they spot you out there in the sea, whether you one or you and somebody is out there in the boat, and they ain't seen a life jacket and they come in and they carrying you a pound, you know. They'll go so, and they go into the office and they're going to process what they're going to process by you and charge you in there. But around here, too much of freebs, man. Too much of ignorant man. Me not study them do with this, man. Me going to go catch me fish and have me pattern. Nothing going to happen. Nothing going to happen. When you know see nothing happen not come. So the right enforce is the thing around here that is lacking. Thank you, Tony. Somebody else want to come in, so let me move.
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, apart from there are the safety issues, which are requirements that you have, and people go out there without them. That's one side of it. The other side of it, in terms of enforcement, is these inspectors are to have the authority to inspect your catch, so that you're not catching something outside of the limit or outside of the time period, so as to create havoc on the ecosystem and our food source. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning, welcome. Good morning, caller, you're live.
We have things like that in law already, because remember, like the turtle and different stuff and other things, and so species of the sea where you can't either catch them in out of season, or you can't catch them under certain size.
The turtles and so.
Yeah, under certain size and things like that, right? And then next thing too, because this doesn't all the time in place here in St. Kitts, right? And if the police or the Coast Guard, go after a fisherman and check them like that, they see it as harassment, They see it as harassment, not as something that, trying to protect them and protect, the species of the sea. They don't see it like that. They're not going to see it like that. They see it like, oh, the Coast Guard people harass me. They think I'm doing drugs or something like that. Mm-hmm. That's how they're seeing it. So maybe if they're not educational stuff on radio or on things where people could think, and sometimes a lot of these guys who go out to fish, they're not people who listen to radio or stuff like that. Maybe fishing areas, it's where people own for fishing and stuff like that. Maybe Coast Guard could have meetings and things like that so that somebody else from maybe the environment thing could have meetings, so these guys could understand and learn about these stuff instead of just going out there. And when the Coast Guard people come at them, they see it as harassment. Mm-hmm. We think, and so maybe this is what needs to be done instead of just they just have going out and nobody know nobody knows what really going on.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, people could look at it that way. But the government, they have a right to police our waterways, like they police our roads, like they police the air. And there are certain things that they put in place for a reason, for the safety and so on. When anything happens out there in the water, then we end up with resources to go find this person, and that's resources being used when that opportunity to avoid the mishaps. And that is why, for example, I just mentioned that boats now are equipped with these electronic devices which can track you and so on. And just like matter of fact, I was stopped over the weekend just checking on seatbelt and driver's license and insurance, etc. I have no problem with it. I was stopped. I mean, I had everything, so I was, but it's not. I mean, they still have to make sure you're in compliance with what the rules say, and a lot of it is for the safety of you as an individual, things like life jackets and so on. The other things to make sure that the masses, the general public, are not hurt by your actions. Because like we say, if you're catching a fish that is below the size that it should be, or catching a fish that is out of season, the seasons are there for a reason, so as to allow them time to replenish or reproduce and replenish the ocean, so that other people could continue to eat. One of the things that, one of the big things is when it comes to fishing, is that specific reason that you cannot be allowed to overfish. If you look at some of the coolers we buy nowadays, for example, you'll find that if you buy a cooler to use to go fishing, you'll find that there's a measurement on it, on the cooler itself, printed on the cooler. So it's there for a reason. So if a fish is below a certain size. And the other reason is that places like Florida, they licensed fishermen, is because if it's part of saying to you, you must know the laws. In order to get this license, you must know the laws, and you must keep up to date with the laws and regulations of fishing, so that you comply with those that are there for a reason. And so let's go. We got a caller. We're going to the phone. I'm going to say good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Very good program.
Good morning.
But Mr. Host,
Yes, sir.
let me say this, right? The Coast Guard and the government put out all the laws that's supposed to be there.
Mm-hmm.
They're supposed to wear seatbelt. They're supposed to wear the life jacket. They're supposed to got the hose.
Mm-hmm.
They're supposed to got like 2 tanker gas account to the size of the boat. If you go carry 3, they carry. They're supposed to carry sponge and looking glass. They're supposed to carry flare. They're supposed to carry everything.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to tell what is the problem? The Coast Guard are not consistent.
Mm.
They're going to do it this month, and then 6 months pass, and then when something happens, they got it again. If they go out consistent and stop them, look, let me tell you something about this harassing. I mean, you said you get stopped by the police with your seatbelt and them things. That's the police duty.
Right.
Right? And as long as you know you're doing the right thing, you don't have to study the police, because the police have a job to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing with the Coast Guard and others. But the Coast Guard will do it today, and they don't do it tomorrow. And so the people get relaxed, and they go back to the old ways. And that is the problem. If they continue doing it and show the people, look, we're here to protect you, we're here to carry out the law, it's a safety mechanism, do what we say, and everything gonna be all right. Walk with your radio, walk with your looking glass, your sponge, your BLO, you know, your life jacket is important. You know, let me say, I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna go quick now. I used to work with a company. The company used to build in the pier over in the pond. And let me tell you something. They tell you 6 feet away, put on your life jacket. And if you don't have on your life jacket, right, 6 feet away from the water, you're in trouble with them, you know.
Mm.
They want an excuse. So the Coast Guard know they have a duty to do, and show the people, look, we have a duty to do, and we're going to do it. If they walk like the young ladies that is walking the traffic, I think you will see a lot of things change. Thank you.
All right. Well, it's like any place. It's like in a construction site. You're supposed to have on a helmet. You're supposed to have on the vest. I mean, what's the difference? We got regulations for the ocean as well. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Brother Tony?
Yes, sir. Good morning.
That last call I couldn't answer it no better. Sometimes I don't leave a taking a swim, and you see one man passing on a boat, one man going to go fishing,
and sometimes they don't even equip with the gears them. And I believe that if the Coast Guard was consistent, I believe that these men who are going out there, they won. They bring them back and show because it used to happen all the time. I really see Coast Guard bringing people when they go out, they won. And I believe that what the Coast Guard supposed to do, upgrade the law, do what they're supposed to do, can't do the last call of year. Just look how we abide by the traffic laws and the traffic rules. I believe you out there and the sea, you're supposed to abide by the rules them. Because when you go to ignorancy and someone miss you, you got children, you got grandchildren, somebody young might go out there with you. When you look he lost his life, you can't find them, he bought jeep because they're not the gears. And he got to go let the children them, he got to go let the grandchildren them, and these things. So, better people put themselves, organize themselves when they're going out there, man. Walk with your equipment them. And I believe it's better for everybody. It's better for the police, it's better for the Coast Guard, it's better for the government and everything. All right then.
Okay. All right. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning.
Hey, Tony.
Mm-hmm.
You remember a couple of years back, some fellows were coming from Nevis Culturama in a boat. I think it was maybe 5 of them. 2 youngsters and maybe 3 big men. And the boat went adrift. And must be some 17 days or so after they find them on the sea. And the owner for the boat said, so far as they're dead, he throw them over. And one day a booby land on the bow of the boat and he grapple it and they eat it. Now, if those guys had anything in the boat named anchor, with a good long rope, at least they would have found them earlier than when they find them. All they got to do is throw over that.
Mm-hmm.
And the anchor, they go hook on something and hold them and somebody can spot them. Look how many days they take until before they find them. So therefore, everything everybody say here this morning is valuable. Coast Guard, don't wait until something happens and all you gone out the world. Go out there constantly checking, man. If me out there fishing and you come and you think, I say, man, do what you got to do, you know, are you walking, are you trying to catch a fish? Me got nothing in you illegal, so if I meet the requirements, well, fine, I good to go. If I meet it, someone may do what you want. Have a good day, Tony.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the phones. Good morning, welcome.
You know,
Yes.
good morning.
Good morning.
The government enforcer law, right?
Uh-huh.
Coast Guard wouldn't get to be out there 3 and 4 days looking for nobody.
Mm-hmm.
But when they're going out, the fishermen are going out, we probably Coast Guard does be. Because sometimes man gone out and you know, gone, sometimes you look for fish and sometimes you just see man appear.
Yeah.
So, man gonna have to do things down. No care what all got, man gonna have to break them. But all what I want to tell you, that nobody's supposed to come from either Canada, America, England, until we must catch from where we must catch. God, they might eat what they want up there. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Their custom we total long time and we don't want no season. And let me check for me old man, they must be catch turtle. Me like it, me want turtle, because they tell you we don't have to turtle trap, but me know, I don't know to dig egg.
What about them small fish that are bringing in sometimes?
You know how to dig egg, people say stick and chuck down in a stand and when you see this come up and that come up, me tell you we don't never look grapes and see how kind of turtle trap, bush break down here. Me like I never look turtle, let me check in with old man them, you to do. Go catch turtle at night time, so and come on them man. And they had turtle like with weeks and months and years until after turtle catch. You understand? But for man to come here and tell you what to eat and what catch and what not catch, me ain't believing that. They can't, me not believe man supposed to control yourself. All right, all the best, eh?
All the best.
You come fisherman now.
All the best. I think we'll leave them turtle alone. It's against the law and sometimes of the year. You can't be doing that. Good morning, sir.
When you don't know, you don't know.
Uh-huh.
Let me say something. Every year, and I believe, I don't know how much times a year they do it, the Coast Guard and government put out laws of the seas.
Mm-hmm.
The Coast Guard, they call in people. Every year they call in people. I don't know if it's twice a month that they do it, but they just call in the people to train them They go so far to give them radio and all.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? They go so far to tell them what to do at sea. They train them. But you see, as I tell you, they need to be more tough. And then, you see, they're going to argue. But arguing and saving the life. Because who they don't call when they're in problem? The Coast Guard.
Coast Guard.
Look, let me say this to you. I had 3 fishermen. And what we talking here, they used to argue and abuse and all kind of things. They abuse the Coast Guard, they abuse the way St. Martin Coast Guard and all. Right? And where it is today, nobody knows if they're under the sea or if they're in the next land. But we can't find them. 3 of them. Right? And they went, I mean, when I see these 3, it was, me and them used to get on good. But putting it together is about 6 of them to 7. Right? Gone. The last one is the one so went with the Finney and Dung thing and nobody know where he gone up to now. But these men, they used to carry out orders. But if they used to carry out orders, they would have been around today. You see? And so, to me, it looked like the Coast Guard to deal with them. But who gonna get the problem when they're gone? Who gonna get the problem to go look for them 3-4 days? The Coast Guard. So stop it in the butt, in the earlies. I mean, you see my lady, just stop it in the butt. And they just respect her. The Coast Guard need to do that. Because government come up with all kind of laws and all kind of things. Hamilton, the last thing he do is to give out equipment to keep them safe. Right? So, a lot of people talk, but we don't realize what's going on. It's just windful. They say not the Coast Guard don't play now. The Dutch Coast Guard don't play now. The French Coast Guard don't play. Don't even talk about the Virgin Islands Coast Guard. You know that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Caller, you there? You're live.
Mr. Mayor, morning.
Good morning.
If I'm wrong, I stand to be corrected, but I don't think that they license your boat unless you have the full equipment on your boat.
Okay.
So who part it is now? They don't license your boat unless you have the necessary equipment on your boat. As far as I know, maybe I could change then.
So what do they take it off afterwards?
Maybe it comes to them.
Oh, okay.
All right, Sam.
Yeah, okay.
What do you want to say?
I got you. I understand that point. Which is true with respect to a vehicle as well. I mean, when you go for a vehicle inspection, they inspect everything. Once you get an inspection, you pass inspection, but maybe tomorrow what was inspected is not true anymore. And that is why on the road, the police traffic department continuously inspecting, because you could have fast inspection. For example, I mean, I see vehicles on the road with a cracked windshield, and as far as I know, that can't pass inspection, but it did. So maybe it cracked since the inspection, but they continue driving that way. It doesn't mean that it's in compliance, even though you have an inspected sticker that says you passed inspection, and inspection is good for a year. You may very well have on tires that are not compliant. You may very well be without a mirror that is not compliant later on. So it is true, it may be true, I don't know the whole process there, but they could still be out of compliance even though they did pass the inspection and got the license. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning, welcome.
Hey, Tony?
Yes, sir.
It's good to listen to those who came before us. I know turtle just come up and lay the eggs in the sand.
Yes.
But an elderly man told me that when the turtles them hatch, they don't go back down when the sun up. They wait until the sun set and the place dark, and they come out and they go in the water because they are vultures in the air.
Right.
Yeah, they will scoop them and pick them up and eat them.
True, that's true.
And their life is at risk. Even when they go in the water and certain fish see them, they eat them.
That's true.
So they got to go down low, down to the bottom to survive.
Yeah, I saw a report one time that gave me a percentage that make it back. because they all don't make it back.
Right.
You know, because some get scooped up, like you say, and some get caught up by fish, and you see they scampering back to the ocean, trying to get back in there.
Another thing again, these fishermen boat, it is law that on top where the bow is, supposed to have a bright yellow paint.
Okay.
That anything happen, they could pick up that bright color easily. Well, another kind of fishing now we're going to go now. I talked to some people who was on Skellig the other day, and the way they're talking about post, pebble, and what and all kind of things. And I want them to know that there are people all around the island utilizing Skellig current without any meter. So when they're going to read we meter and tell you, well, your money up there, I agree, when you use people thing, you must pay for it. But they must also make who not gonna meet up pay for it too. That's all I could say about that. Let it go search.
Okay.
Thank you, Tony.
Sure. All right. Back to the phones. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
One of the things that also happened in relation to the fishermen, what they do is that, you will go on with all the equipment, license your boat,
Okay.
and then you take it and give it to a friend who will go and license the boat, and so you find that at least 4 or 5 boats get licensed
the same equipment. Okay. All right.
Good morning.
Good morning. Wow. Interesting. Go ahead. Yes, caller. Go ahead.
Morning, sir. Let me say good morning to Culture. I know this culture said I should walk with you up to Anchor. But something part out there, we up can't reach,
That's true.
And sometimes it's so deep that the ballast, where you anchor with, you're about 100 yards away from you.
Yeah, but if you drop it and you're drifting, you may drift onto a reef somewhere.
Yeah, well, that's how you feel in the shallow.
Yeah, okay.
But when you're down in the deep, something part out there, we up can't reach. And when you go in fancy, a gallon of water, man.
Okay.
All right, sir.
Okay. All right. All good information. Yeah. But yeah, I think the point Culture is making, if you drop the anchor, even if your anchor don't reach the bottom where you are, you're gonna end up drifting. And if you drift, at some point you may reach shallow enough water. I don't know, but hey, it's still good to have just in case. We're going. Yeah. So. It is so serious nowadays that when we talk about fishing and overfishing and pulling in the wrong thing and not throwing them back and all of that, it is so serious nowadays that even down to the fishing hooks that they make, they have to be in some compliance, because they talk about how if you hook a fish and you need to throw it back, depending on the type of hook, you're gonna rip the mouth of the fish. You're gonna destroy the fish if you don't have a proper hook. And there are different types of hook. Some that are easy to take out, and you can throw back that fish without much damage to the fish. Back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome.
Yeah, but Tony.
Yes.
We learn from America's fishermen, You see the men who does sport fishing. When they catch a fish and they're gonna throw it back, they put the thumb finger in the mouth and they hold it from under the chin.
Yes. Yes.
Because the weight of the body can't bring up the chin. And they ease out the hook and they try to lower it back down in the water.
Correct.
Now, Tony, you got all kind of thing in the sea, One time 3 men went out go fishing. They went so far that they couldn't see island. And one of them pull in a big thing. When you look, is a sea devil he pull in. And when the sea devil come up, he say, "Why are you doing so far out? They're gonna kill you." He tell each one of them, give him something impossible. Well, the first one tell him, "See, devil, go back down and bring sand." When then he come up, he give them sand. He said, "Well, you go there, I'm going to kill you." The other one said, "See, devil, go up there and bring cloud." He went up and he bring cloud. And he said, "Okay, you go there, I'm going to kill you because you ain't give me something impossible." Well, the third one, they trembling. And he don't know what to tell, see, devil. So while they trembling, he passed a gas. He says, "See, devil, hold that." See, devil say, "What?" So he said, well, okay, you get wet, and since you get wet, the other two go with you. So a lot of things that happen out there when you go fishing.
I only know about
that's a light moment.
I only know about bringing up sand. We used to swim out and dive down and bring up sand to prove that you're out there. Let's go to the phone. Yes, go ahead.
You ever go fishing yet?
Yes, I have.
How far you ever been?
How far?
Yes.
What do you mean? I fish from the shore. I fish from the shore. I'm not a... I fish from the shore.
Okay, let me get a joke. Right?
Yes, go ahead.
And where these fishermen need to be serious and take the trade serious and do the right thing. Mr. Nias, a time I went, I don't know if it's monkey they call it, but it's a group of us went up there, about 4 of us. The boat was a good sized boat. We went up, there you could see Mousetrap and Antigua. You see Antigua more in the north east area, and Mousetrap more down in the south.
Right.
You could see St. Kitts and Nevis. And Mr. Nias, I mean, when the man dropped the Kellic and they start to settle up to the guy that said they're going to snap her in. Mr. Nias, I see some water. Right? And I said to them, wait, this the kind of condition or everything? And the man tell me yes. And let me tell you something. When we reach back St. Kitts, well, I went out about 3 times, but different people, but different areas. And let me tell you something. The last set of people I went with, I tell them, well, I wish all you good luck. They ain't coming. At the time I'm going to St. Martin with the hustler, I was in front. I was saying to show you the danger out there, and a lot of people got to be serious to see and the sea and the ear to play with. I was in front. Right in front of the bridge, sitting down on the bench. I saw something white in the distance. I get up and I went to Skeet and I said, Skeet, what that deal? Skeet tell me you're gonna hear something now. You're gonna hear a man from by and you're gonna see what you're gonna see. You talk about the passengers, what the man does go through out here. Skeet thing, the boat front went up in the air. Right? And then it come down and the stone went up in the air. And let me tell you something, if I did stay in front there, well, I don't believe they would have find me up to today. I see a fellow by the name of Kennedy. You should know Kennedy used to drive bus. Up to now we still make a little joke. Kennedy, I can't warn him. I say, Kennedy, you don't fall out of the bunk there. Put on the thing to hold you. He tell me, all right, Kennedy fall out the bunk and went right down the step and drop on the deck. He lose the money and all. So what I'm trying to say, out there is not to play with. Water out there is not easy. And the fishermen them, they need to take the job serious and do things to save their life. It's their life. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Well, it's important to make sure that all the seafood that we consume is ethically sourced and promotes environmentally sustained ways in which it's caught. And when we ask for sustainable seafood, we're asking for a product that's caught using sustainable fishing practices, using equipment and minimizing things like bycatch and overfishing and taking care not to negatively impact the ocean environment. And by making the choice to only purchase responsible caught seafood for ourselves, we can move the industry to make a change for the good of the environment. When we fish, let's do it right, let's do it safe. It would only protect our ocean for generations to come. That's going to do it for me today. Thank you all for your input. I'm Tony Nass. We will talk again the next time we are on Frank and Candid.
Rise Up Radio, entertaining the nation.